Hey everybody, welcome back to the DG Hamblin Show. I am DG Hamblin, and today we are continuing the interview with John Masters. If you have not seen the first half of this, please go back right now and watch it first. I mean, you don't have to have all that to understand what you're about to hear. However, it's kind of a bombshell, and you'd be much better off understanding the background behind this, so that you can understand, I think, what happens next and why. So, to kind of catch us up to speed just a little bit for those who may have missed or don't remember, you got into law enforcement. You were doing drug interdiction. You were really good at it. You went to work for Poulan, Georgia Police Department. You're doing interdiction there. You had made a bunch of arrests and made really good cases. And then you stopped this car and you end up seizing more than 340 grams, maybe 348, something like that, grams of cocaine, 2 positive tests. You had then all this weird stuff with the chief happened, and next thing you know, you are fired. And when I say weird stuff with the chief, things that are not in keeping with standard operational procedure when it comes to evidence, the chain of evidence, how things work, and so next thing you know, you're fired for. And the reason given is at-will employment. You had never been disciplined. You had never been written up. Stellar career and record up to that point, and bam, because it appears that perhaps some corruption was uncovered. That would be my opinion. Okay, so you're fired. So you need a job, and I assume you then found employment someplace else.
Yeah. I went and found employment at Oglethorpe County Sheriff's Office, and I was not expecting what had happened in Poulan to follow me up there.
Okay.
Now, I'm finding work at the Oglethorpe County Sheriff's Office while I'm suing City of Poulan for wrongful termination.
Yeah.
And I have been asked before, well, maybe the Sheriff's Office at Worth County and maybe the City of Poulan had all this documentation you're saying doesn't exist. Well, the lawyer in the lawsuit and the lawyer in the appeal hearing that PBA hired, and then I went and got my own lawyer for the lawsuit, both requested multiple times for all this documentation and never showed up.
They never gave any of it.
No, because it doesn't exist. And they even admitted during an interrogatory and during a request, no, this stuff doesn't exist. Oh, okay, well then you never documented it. You're on documentation saying these items you're requesting do not exist.
Wow. Okay. So they never documented any of the stuff like...
Well, the funny part is when they got my jacket, they were pulling stuff out of my jacket.
What do you mean by your jacket?
My personnel
personnel file. Okay.
So
just want to make sure that somebody doesn't think that somehow they had your coat.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So they had pulled stuff out of my jacket.
Yeah.
I had just gotten an award for.
Wait. So things that were positive reflected positivly in there.
Yeah.
They removed it.
Good thing I kept copies.
It never happened.
Yeah. Good thing I kept copies.
Wow.
I had when before I went to the appeal hearing, the assistant chief came out in uniform, stood on my front porch, and told me that I was being fired because of the cocaine stop. And I really appreciated him admitting that it was cocaine. that was. I got audio recording of it. It's
right.
It's surreal. And he told me in that when he was talking to me on my front porch, he goes, "Well, you're probably gonna be fired because you don't know anyone on the city council."
Wow.
He actually said that to me. I'm going,
wow.
I didn't.
So it's not about what's right or wrong. It's about teams and who can you get to.
And yeah, I guess because I don't have friends in the Central Committee and the Politburo. I'm sorry, did I say that? I meant because I wasn't connected within whatever.
You weren't plugged into the good old boy system in Poulan.
And I didn't want to call it a good old boy system. And
that is what it is.
I hope my joke didn't offend anybody, but it felt like that when he was saying, I'm going, oh yeah, I mean, he's pretty much sitting here going, yeah, you're not, you're not a part of the bourgeoisie that exists inside the city fiefdom, and that's just the way it is. So you're gonna lose your job. Sounds like you have a. He even said, "Well, sounds like, you've got a case for wrongful termination."
Wow.
If the assistant chief knew that, wouldn't he want to tell the city attorney, "Hey, I may have written a false statement. And this might come back to bite us later. A couple years down the road, because we're going to do what we're going to do, but eventually this will get out. Eventually, this guy will realize his law enforcement career in Georgia is over, and he'll start talking about it because he'll stop caring, and he'll move on to another state where he'll still be a cop because this will get out, and then we're done." So maybe we should calm down at the appeal hearing, give him his job back. He'll probably quit, which is what I was planning. I actually went to the appeal hearing ready to quit. Sure. I assumed they were going to say, we don't like this. We're going to give you a job back. Cool, here's my notice. Yeah, I don't work here anymore.
And by the way, so in the meantime, before you're fired, you were suspended, right?
I was placed on administrative leave without pay.
Right.
Which they lied about to the Department of Labor. When I went to go file for unemployment, they told me, no, he's being paid. No, I wasn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Then they documented to the Department of Labor something completely different from what they handed me. They told the Department of Labor I was fired for cause. It's like, okay.
But they didn't say what the cause was.
No.
They didn't document.
And the assistant chief on my front porch told me, yeah, no write-ups, no discipline. No, you up until a few days ago, you were the best cop. You went out there, you did exactly what we wanted, you did all the tickets we wanted. Oh, I forgot to mention there's a quota at Poulan.
A quota?
There is a quota at the city of Poulan. Every cop on duty needs to write 4 tickets. And this is what I was told expressly from the assistant chief. We need to write 4 tickets a night because those 4 tickets pay for the car, the fuel, the salary, and the extras of the department.
Wow. Okay.
I usually wrote about 10, which is what they wanted, every night. So I would go out there and I would write 10 speeding tickets. I'd go out there with a laser, and I would sit up, and I would do this first part of my shift, and I would just ticket, really fast as I could, one after another, bang, 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 just knock it out. As long as you were 12 or over, sign here, press hard, 5 copies.
Okay.
And then I put the laser away and I started doing the interdiction.
Okay.
The rest of the shift.
So for those of you who don't know, you can't have quotas.
You can't even.
At least not here in Georgia. You can't.
You can't tell a cop, "I need you to write 4 tickets every night."
No, you can't do that.
Now, I expressly remember I would come in with 10 to 15 tickets every night.
Yeah.
Which is what they wanted. I was keeping them happy, and the other officer, who's a friend of mine, they would just tear him up one side and down the other because he wasn't out there writing tickets.
Wow.
What is legal is a contact quota.
Sure. I mean, this GSP does that.
We need you to contact 4 people a night.
I had a good friend who got in trouble because, in fact, they had a, maybe it's not this way at every post, but at his post they had to write a certain number of warnings, which is kind of the same thing. He didn't like writing warnings, so he got caught for writing warnings to names he got off of headstones at a cemetery, and he got a little trouble for that.
And I've heard there's highway patrols on the West Coast that they want every stop documented. So even if you're giving a warning, it needs to be written.
Oh, okay.
Every warning is documented.
All their warnings had to be, and that was the case for him.
Because there are troopers out there who, I made 13 traffic stops. Okay, and you gave 13 warnings. Yeah, we need those warnings documented.
Yeah, so so he was giving written warnings to dead people. Should have done that.
The quota is illegal.
It is illegal.
Referencing I need you to go out there and write tickets is illegal.
Right.
Now,
this all reminds me.
There are departments out there that will, and I have. It is not illegal to say this. I want to make this very clear. It is not illegal for a law enforcement executive to go to his department and say, "Look, I need you to be proactive. I need you to address driving behavior.
Sure.
I need you to understand the wallet is the best way to address driving behavior, and it allows me to go to the county commission or the city council and say, look at all these problems we're having. These are all the tickets my officers are writing. These are not people from our jurisdiction. They're coming through our jurisdiction on whatever highway. Look at the damage they're doing.
Right.
They're impaired. there's guns, there's drugs. Look at all this documentation. Look at all these reports my officers are writing.
Right.
I need better funding.
Right.
And the officers know that. So it behooves the officer to sit there and go, hey, look, we have a traffic problem. Well, how do you prove there's a traffic problem? Tickets.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but the purpose of citing people is not to generate revenue. The purpose is supposed to be to save lives and reduce property damage, because
And reduce fatalities.
well, yeah, save lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saving lives by reducing fatalities from traffic accidents and reducing property damage, which is a problem.
I would say 1 year in the jail plus the time I've been a certified peace officer, I'm rolling into almost 7 years.
Yeah.
There is I've seen it, a direct correlation to driving behavior and collisions.
Sure, absolutely. So, the city of Ludwig, Georgia, is famous, infamous, and I'm assuming maybe you're familiar with
Yep.
Ludwig. So,
I was at Hunt Army Airfield.
right, okay, so
It's part of the Welcome to Hunt Army Airfield briefing.
yeah. So
if you go to Hinesville, south of Hinesville is a interesting little town.
yeah,
Do not speed.
right. So just for those of y'all watching, just do a quick Google search. Ludwig, Ludwici, I think is how it's spelled, and just read about the history there.
I was already told.
It's interesting.
I was always when I was at Hunt Army Airfield, Georgia. I was always told, don't speed in Effingham County, Bryan County, Liberty County, Long County, or Camden County. Just don't do it.
Ludwig is the reason that we have all the restrictions on running radar and all this kind of stuff.
I didn't know. So I'm not from Georgia, so I.
Well, yeah. So like you can't write unless you're going 10 over, right?
Right.
GSP can, but
I
most
can
people
stop
can't.
them. I just can't write the ticket.
So
Why even bother stopping them?
right.
Which leads to most people in the state of Georgia believe, I can go 10 over, I can't get stopped. No,
Now you can get stopped.
I can't
Yeah.
write it, but
Yeah.
you can get stopped.
Right. And if you're in a residential zone or your school zone, you can still get stopped at 1 mile an hour over. But Ludwig would literally stop you a mile over, write you a ticket. They had the guy hide behind the bushes with the button to change the stoplight to red all of a sudden right before you went through it. All kinds of crazy stuff. It was nuts. The governor in Georgia back in the day had billboards erected on the highway warning the city of Ludwig is a speed trap. I mean, trying to get people to avoid the city. And so the state legislature passed all of this. Anyway, it's a whole interesting thing. We could do a whole show just on Ludwig.
It's funny you mentioned that. There was a place in the Midwest called Lone Jack, Missouri, and there were other ones, but I remember as a kid in the Midwest, my dad would tell me, if you're in central Missouri, you do not speed through Lone
through Lone Jack. I'll remember that.
St. Roberts is another one.
Wow.
Fort Leonard Wood, that was a warning. Welcome to Fort Leonard Wood. Do not speed through St. Roberts, Missouri,
Right.
or Jonesboro, Arkansas. You will be stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're working at Oglethorpe County.
So now I'm working in Oglethorpe County. The lawsuit has gone up against the city of Poulan. They're in the middle of interrogatories and starting the discovery process.
Okay.
So we have all this extra information. I get into a wreck in Oglethorpe. Wreck was my fault. I was on my computer when I shouldn't have been.
Okay.
Ran off the road, overcorrected, came back, hit a tree.
Yeah.
Totaled my patrol car.
Yep.
100% my fault. No one at the department got my statement. And the funny part is Madison County worked the wreck. No one
Okay.
came to the hospital to get my statement. So I don't know how driver one stated anything.
Wow.
But
Okay.
supposedly there's a Madison County wreck report out there.
Huh. That's
Now, I
interesting.
suffered a concussion.
Okay.
I wasn't even medically cleared to be on duty. The very next Monday, I was told to come into work in uniform.
But what day was the wreck on? I mean, how many days before that?
A few days.
Okay, so you likely are still suffering some effects from a concussion,
Yep.
which affects judgment, memory, all this stuff, and they're
No one has asked for my statement.
wow.
No one has come in and had me sit down and document a statement.
Okay.
The only person who had called me was the insurance company.
All right.
I told him what happened. Yeah, I was on the MDT. I was on the cell phone. I shouldn't have been. It was my bad. Yeah, it's 100% my fault.
Wow. Okay.
I get pulled into the chief deputy's office. He sits me down with the patrol captain. He says, "Yeah, I just had a lengthy conversation with your police chief down in Poland."
Nice.
And I'm sitting here going, I have got the most bone-splitting headache because of this concussion. Still have not got my prescription filled for the painkillers. So I am there. HR doesn't even know anything about this wreck. Oglethorpe County HR found out about this wreck from me. When I went down there and said, "Can I please get this prescription filled?" So the chief is not telling anyone about this wreck.
Okay.
He says, "If you don't quit, I'm going to fire you." We don't even talk about the wreck. We talk about Poland.
Wow.
I wish I had it on recording. So I'm sitting there trying to remember everything that was said. In my brain, I'm going, okay, remember this. Just agree to whatever he says so you can remember everything that's said, because you're going to have, as soon as you get home, you are going to have to type.
Yeah.
So on the drive home, I'm telling my wife everything that was said so that I could create a memory loop.
Sure.
So I could get home. First thing, I didn't take the uniform off when I got home. I immediately typed.
Okay.
And documented it.
Right.
When he was telling me, if you don't, I had just had a lengthy conversation, just got off the phone, had a lengthy conversation, and that's the way he said it. I just had a lengthy conversation with your police chief in Poland.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. In the back of my brain, I'm sitting here going, I'm being fired for 2 reasons. Or I'm being told to quit or be fired for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
One, Poland.
Right.
Poland's in the middle of interrogatories, and this police chief is lashing out.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
2, my body camera captured the chief deputy of Oglethorpe County curb stomping a guy, and then quitting the arrest and not doing any use of force report.
He didn't arrest. What?
So
quitting?
in the sheriff's office defense, this event happened after a guy turned on a checkpoint and bolted.
Right.
That's
Happens
illegal.
Sometimes. Yeah, you can't. Right.
We go after.
That's probable cause for a stop.
We run after guy. He runs.
Yeah.
Sergeant's in front of me. I'm behind sergeant. I see dude dip down.
Okay.
I tell the sergeant, "Hey, he just turned on you." Sergeant goes, "Yep, I knew that was him. I'm turning around too. I already turned around." Chief deputy comes in behind me, pushes his car up into a tree, gets out. We all go gunpoint.
He said pushes his car up to a tree. He took his car, kind of like a pit maneuver, but didn't really pit him. He just ran him off the road and.
I don't know if he pushed him off the road or if the guy reversed off the road.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
he just uses
his car was up right there to the point I couldn't pass between the two of them.
Okay.
Guy gets out. He's complying, fully complying. He goes all the way down on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. As he's on the ground, we're still gunpoint. I'm kind of I'm holding my gun down, but still in a
You're
ready
a little
position.
ready. Yeah.
So haven't sooled it, but I'm just kind of holding it. It's on. My body camera captures a chief deputy lift up that dude's arm, take his foot, and curb stomp him right in the back of the head.
Wow.
Totally compliant.
Wow.
I climb over bad guy's car, and I cuff him up. I said, "Yeah, I got him." It's like, we're gonna have to call it. I'm thinking in the back of my brain, yeah, we're calling an ambulance. This is gonna be a whole big deal. Unbelievable. I stand bad guy up, and suddenly we're quitting the arrest. Uncuff him. Wrong car. Going. It's behind him the whole time. This is absolutely the right car. Even the sergeant agreed with it on the radio. Oh yeah, I saw him turn. That's him. I'm turning around.
What? Why?
In the back of my brain, I'm thinking we're quitting this arrest because he just kicked this dude.
He just kicked him in the head.
We go back out.
Hoping that the guy doesn't sue or doesn't die.
So we're just gonna he's gonna clean it up right then. So we go back out at the checkpoint. This is 4 weeks before this wreck, approximately 4 weeks, maybe closer to 5 weeks before this wreck happens. And I'm told to quit or be fired. The chief deputy goes back out at the checkpoint and tells everyone at the checkpoint that I kicked the guy.
What?
It's on body camera.
Yeah, obviously you didn't do it. Yeah.
You can actually see on the body camera where he lifts his arm up to get a good, clean shot.
Wow.
So I knew not to fight this.
Yeah.
So I just quit.
Okay.
And then,
I mean, you've already had this bad experience at Poulan. You're going, my gosh, I've got to be able to have a job. If you make a fight, if you're fighting two departments,
I'm already under file review because of the first termination. They got
Right.
changed to voluntary resignation.
right,
Explain how that's happening.
right. But you're in the midst of a Georgia Post review of your record. They're doing
On a
an
voluntary
investigation.
resignation.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a voluntary resignation, but I'm under file review. They sent a letter to Post saying we want to change it to voluntary resignation. Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're still under file review.
right,
Which is a whole nother level of strangeness that I've documented as well.
right, yeah.
So I leave Oglethorpe and I go and I start looking for another job.
Okay.
I apply to Elberton and I apply to Hartwell. Hartwell hires me before Elberton. So I tell Elberton, hey, Hartwell's hired me. They're moving faster than you did. They actually got my application after you did. I'm not sure it's taking so long, but I got a family to feed.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right.
So I start working at Hartwell. At first, Hartwell is okay. Until my supervisor, and I wish I had it recorded. This is when I started learning to record everything.
Okay.
I documented it. The supervisor told me that he had spoken to my old employers. This is when I found out that my supervisor at Hartwell is in the same, excuse my crassness on this, but I can't stand these guys, in the same wannabe outlaw motorcycle cop club for motorcycle club for cops, the Blue Knights, that the police chief of Poulan is. Now, I'm sorry if there's any Blue Knights watching this. You guys, I have seen cops. In fact, the sergeant at Hartwell has a 1%er patch
What?
on his
Okay.
while saying he's a Blue Knight cop motorcycle club. So you're wearing a three-piece patch, which looks like,
Right.
and then you've got a 1%er.
Okay, I know what that means, but let's assume the average viewer out there does not know what a 1%er patch
Okay,
is.
so the 1%er comes from the Hollister motorcycle event in the
Right.
60s.
Yeah.
And it turned into a dumpster fire of an event.
Right.
And the American Motorcycle Association, whatever they call themselves now, came out and said, hey, that wasn't the bulk of our riders. It was just 1%. So the outlaw guys seized on that and said, that's right, we're the 1%. Everyone else is law-abiding motorcycle riders. We're outlaws.
Right.
So for a police officer, in outlaw motorcycle clubs, we're talking about Hell's Angels.
Right.
We're talking about Mongols.
Yeah. Yep.
So literally, while it was a TV show, the Sons of Anarchy TV show did do a lot of interviews with real life outlaw motorcycle guys on how to do that TV show.
Yeah.
Now, there is documentaries out there about the Hells Angels and about Mongols and about, if you go Google the Blue Knights, and this is why I'll never join them.
Right.
And I call them the wannabe outlaw motorcycle for cops club.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because Blue Knights, that's what they call themselves, has started fist fights and shootouts in Las Vegas. Because they're not cops, they're an MC. If you look at their patch, it's a three-piece, just like an outlaw patch. It's got the letters MC.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, the sergeant at Hartwell's wearing a 1%er patch. Why would you be wearing
So he's advertising himself as criminal element.
as a criminal element, but also saying he's a cop? Now, that sergeant and the police chief down in Poulan are part of the same, I'm going to say it, they're part of the same MC.
Okay.
And you can, cops out there that are Blue Knights can argue, we don't do that. Your chapter may not, but other chapters certainly do.
Right.
I wouldn't associate myself with a Blue Knight at all.
Sure.
I mean,
I can understand that. Yeah. You know.
I play League of Legends online.
Mm-hmm.
And I record my games.
Right.
And I am playing games with other streamers. I don't talk about policing. I don't mention policing.
Right.
I'm not even going to say what my username is here.
Sure.
Because it's completely separate. And I tell departments, hey, this is what I'm doing, just so you know, I'm streaming. Okay?
Yeah.
I like to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very involved game. I'm an amateur player, but I am playing live with other people.
Yeah.
No different than golf players.
Sure.
I'm not going to talk about what I do for a living. I'm not going to show my face. There's nothing on my Twitch or my YouTube that shows that I'm in law enforcement of any kind. I don't even show all you hear is my voice, and I'm just showing my experience since playing League of Legends in 2017. Because I switched from being a competitive chess player at University of Alaska to I wanted to be a league player. Because once I got introduced, I stopped paying my dues to the U.S. Chess Federation.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was chess on wheels.
Yeah.
I stopped playing competitive chess.
Okay.
No different from the guy who's a golfer in the military who becomes an amateur golfer and wins the U.S. Open.
Sure.
There's amateurs who have won the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So, that is different from associating with the appearance of an outlaw motorcycle club.
Right.
And these guys, some of these Blue Knights, if you Google, some of these Blue Knight, these are active law enforcement officers. They have started fist fights.
Sure.
They have started firefights. They have shot at other motorcycle clubs.
Right.
Well, we fired that cop. I mean, you still have cops who are part of this organization that is doing this. And once again, if any Blue Knights are watching this, well, our chapter doesn't do that. Your chapter may not.
Right.
But that kind of be like, I'm a member of the VFW. And if the VFW went off the deep end, I don't care if I'm a lifetime member or not. You can have the card back. Why? You guys went off the deep end.
Right. Yeah.
The VFW is about not doing, and so it's you want to sit there and you want to say, well, we're Blue Knights and we want to promote law enforcement and then turn around and act like an outlaw motorcycle club. Right. Case in point, this sergeant is told by his MC brother, so law enforcement's now out the door, so he tells me, I'm going to drum you out of law enforcement. And he makes good on his threat.
Wow.
He starts writing me up for everything under the sun. Stuff that is not illegal, not out of policy.
So he told you that he had talked to your chief.
Yeah.
And then at that point, he starts writing you up for
the weirdest
thing ever. Yeah.
Stuff that.
And where you had never been written up.
Never been written up in any other department. So he's going to fix that. My first write up was for improper charges. One was on a misdemeanor marijuana with a firearm. Now, if any cop in Georgia knows misdemeanor marijuana and a gun is a violation of possession of a firearm while commission certain crimes. So he said it had to be predicated by a felony.
No.
He even sat there.
I made that charge myself a bunch of times.
At this point, I was recording him.
Right.
So he sits there and reads the code section, which says that's a good charge, and then writes me up anyways.
Wow.
Then he writes me up because I charged a lady with aggravated assault after she bit a dude.
Okay.
So that's not aggravated assault. Well, case law and code section disagree with you.
Right.
100% disagree with you. And here's the worst part. He wasn't even at work that night.
So he didn't even...
and if there's anybody listening to this, biting is absolutely aggravated assault in like all 50 states. I think the teeth are an instrument because the teeth are capable. If you read the code section, they're capable of causing grievous bodily injury.
Right.
So if you bite someone, it's aggravated assault, 100% all day long. That is.
Yeah.
And then he writes me up. Because on a felony traffic stop, I used unnecessary use of force. Now I know what you're thinking. What use of force did you unnecessarily use? I pulled my firearm on a felony traffic stop. And he sat in a room with him and the assistant chief of Hartwell Police Department who told me that is the same as shooting somebody.
Not the same.
No, absolutely 100% not. Yeah, indexing is not even use of force. It's a show of force.
Yeah.
Nope. In Hartwell, it is use of force because it's in policy. Well, your policy is illegal and is in violation of state law.
Right.
I even tried to show the supervisor.
Why would we have a charge called brandishing a firearm?
Right.
If they're the same thing.
They're the same thing. I even showed the supervisor in the use of force code section where it says no agency can promulgate a rule or policy that would restrict an officer from using that degree of force to apprehend a felony. Now, this was a felony theft suspect. Now, they tried to say I didn't know about the felony theft suspect. It didn't matter if I hadn't dealt with that person before. She was known by collective knowledge. If she so much as steals a candy bar from Walmart or anywhere, because she had racked up so many convictions, it's a felony. We can confirm it later. But if she's collectively known and she's fleeing Walmart, we can go ahead and assume it's a felony.
Right.
We're allowed to take some precautions on officer safety and conduct a felony traffic stop, put everyone in handcuffs. Now,
Right.
he didn't put anyone in handcuffs.
Okay.
He left one person out of handcuffs. That one person was involved in the theft. So when we did have to go cuff her up, now we had use of force that could have been prevented if we'd have cuffed everyone during the felony traffic stop.
Right.
So he created the situation where force had to be used.
Right.
Now you read my report; it's like 7 pages long when I typed it. I think it's like 4 when it went into the system, because the system breaks it down.
Yeah.
His report's 3 paragraphs. It's like we weren't even on the same stop. Then I've got the assistant chief at Hartwell telling me that I need a gram factor to turn my lights on.
What?
I've got that one on recording too. The guy doesn't know basic code section criminal procedure. Then the assistant chief of Hartwell sent me an email basically saying that he doesn't know how crosswalk works. He said you don't have to use a crosswalk in the state of Georgia.
What?
Even if one's right there, I'm talking like less than 5 meters from the guy where he was crossing. No. He was good to do right there. He shouldn't have to walk the extra 5 meters to then.
Okay.
And then after watching my dash cam, I said, well, you didn't really slam on your brakes. I came to a dead stop to avoid hitting a pedestrian. Got it. It's like, you're just making stuff up as you go along. And
Well,
that's
she
when
had-
it clicked in my brain.
She had a pedestrian in the roadway.
All day long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pedestrian roadway, so I can detain him. Oh, that was an unlawful detention.
No.
Okay. Once again, so I upload the write-ups. I've uploaded this stuff. I've got the write-ups. I've got my reports.
Yeah.
Which anybody reads my. I've had the cops read my report and they're going, "Is the assistant chief at Hartwell just? How did this guy become a cop?" The recording of him saying you need a gram factor to turn your lights on. I'm just kind of going.
Okay, so those don't know what a gram factor is. That's from
Graham versus Connor.
Yeah, Graham versus Connor.
Graham versus Connor, Supreme Court says when cops can use deadly force.
Right.
So
and
according to the assistant chief at Hartwell Police, and it's on
Right.
recording, you need to be able to use deadly force in order to initiate a traffic stop.
Right. Well, yeah. It has with the amount of force you use, but it has nothing to do with a traffic stop.
Right. But he said those words. You need a gram factor just to turn your lights on. I'm thinking, how this guy become an assistant chief? I was like, yeah, I don't want to work here anymore.
Wow.
So I turned in my 2 weeks notice to Hartwell.
Okay.
Chief refused to accept it.
All right.
3.5 weeks into my 2 weeks notice, finally quit.
Wow.
Finally just
I'm
turned the
sorry,
keys in. I'm
man.
like, we're done. Like, how can you?
Okay, but things didn't really stop there either, right?
No.
So everywhere you've been to this point, Chief Wisnett down in Poulan is just
Is
he's just trying to
continuously
stick it to
following
you.
me around.
Yeah.
And
No, he's going out of his way to make life difficult for you.
yeah. And
Okay.
when I left Oglethorpe, I applied to a number of departments. I applied to Greene County, I applied to Elberton, and I applied to Hartwell. Now, I didn't record what happened at Greene County. Because in my mind, I thought, there's no way it's following me up here. But Greene County disqualified me and said, no, it's just your employment history. That's when I knew, okay, he is directly stopping me from trying to work in law enforcement. Okay.
Right. Okay.
When Elberton happened, because when I left Hartwell, I did try to contact Elberton. At this point, I knew to start recording everything.
Right.
The Elberton police chief confirmed the collusion on a recording.
Okay.
On a recorded,
Well,
he flat out told me, "You have a problem with authority. I have spoken to your previous employers. In other words, you can't challenge." Hartwell, all they wanted to do was retrain you. No, they don't need to retrain me. And there was, no, that's not. It's like, and I even gave him a chance. Do you want to see what I've documented? No, I don't need to see that. You have a problem with authority. It's like, in other words, you spoke to Hartwell, you spoke to Oglethorpe, you spoke to Poulan, and that's the story you're going with.
Right.
And that's when I found out what Poulan police chief was saying about me from another guy.
Okay.
He has been going around telling every department I applied to that I was fired because I masturbated in a patrol car. Mentions nothing about the cocaine. So departments can now get confused. I'm talking to one right now where the sheriff, she is absolutely confused
Sure. Yeah.
because she's seeing what I've documented versus
Right.
And now that department, Poulan, won't even speak to her without. Oh no, they're not even acknowledging I breathed air in Poulan ever.
Wow.
Because they have, when the lawsuit was settled, part of the lawsuit was that they got a copy of the Google Drive, as far as I understand.
Okay.
So if they've read this documentation, they are realizing he has documented this, he has memorialized it, he has retained it. This is bad.
Yeah.
And every department I apply to gets it.
Good.
Gets a copy of it.
Good. They should.
But it keeps it. Even after I left Hartwell, it continued.
Yeah.
It kept going. So I've applied to other departments. Barrow County sent me a letter. You know, we're DQing you because of your employment history, and you're under file review from Georgia Post.
Right. Okay. So
every time I'm DQ'd, I upload the letter as proof of, hey, this is continuing. Now, my Georgia Post investigator is retired police chief in Tifton, Georgia.
Okay.
That's right down the road from Poland.
Right, not that far.
That chief and the Poland police chief, they know each other.
Sure. It'd be highly unusual if they didn't, because the Georgia Chiefs of Police Association, they have regular meetings by area and all that stuff.
Yeah. So they know each other.
Yeah. Okay. So surely somebody's gone to the GBI about this, reported, and they're
the other
investigating,
officer
right?
went to the GBI and attempted to report it
And what
before
was
he left employment.
What was he told by the GBI?
Only the chief can report it. It says it on their website.
Okay, so only the chief can report himself as a criminal.
According to the
Wait,
GBI.
it says that
According to
on
the
their-
GBI's website.
On their website?
You want me to read it word for word?
No, I believe you. I just haven't.
It says only the DA or a police chief, common citizen just can't call in and say, hey, you look at this.
Okay. Did anybody report to the governor's office? That is, citizens can, and I know that because of an incident that a department I worked for was involved in, where we had a civilian.
So there's
who
no
had some
way
mental
the
health
governor's
issues.
office didn't know about it, and the reason why is because when I was at Oglethorpe, I had applied to a position within the traffic enforcement network to be an assistant coordinator.
Okay.
And the chief deputy sent me an email back, and it is on the Google Drive,
Okay.
saying, because of what happened in South Georgia, you will not be allowed to be in this position. Had you been better led down there, it actually says that.
So because of your leadership down there.
Yeah, and this one,
Wow.
this one I would like to read, because this one's pretty horrible, in my opinion, of what the chief deputy at Oglethorpe says about Governor's Office of Highway Safety. So the Governor's Office of Highway Safety knew about it, according to this.
And the GOHS is an organization which does what? I mean, I know, but others may
they
not
coordinate all the traffic enforcement efforts around the state of Georgia.
know. Right, and
So they knew about this.
and they have regional meetings, right?
Yep.
They have once a month you have a meeting at a department somewhere in the region.
Yep.
And you do a big traffic event,
And the chief deputy at Oglethorpe is the coordinator for
They
the
also provide,
Piedmont Area Traffic Enforcement Network.
they also provide training and all that kind of stuff.
And I've been to GOHS training multiple times.
Sure.
So this email response, it's loading right now. This email response kind of threw me aback and told me that GOHS knew about this. And they knew about the cocaine. They knew about the stop. They knew.
Right.
If they didn't, why would they have told him this?
Yeah.
So when this loads, I'll read it, because I think it's important the way it's said. But through the course of this, the other deputy who overheard the screaming rant was on speakerphone.
Mm-hmm.
He just stopped talking when the chief came in and did that rant that I told you about earlier.
Yeah.
He went to the FBI.
He went to the FBI. Okay.
And the FBI told him we need to hear it from the officer. So that deputy gave me the FBI's information to a special agent named Tim Armentrout.
Okay.
And I gave him the Google Drive.
Okay.
And he said later, we're not going to do anything about this. You didn't do anything wrong. We can't talk about it, but we're not going to do anything about it.
It makes you wonder what's going on. Why won't anybody touch this chief? Not even the FBI. The FBI doesn't care.
Shouldn't.
They shouldn't care. I mean, as an agency, they're not going to have a dog in the fight. Maybe an individual might.
But again, I
No.
didn't think to document these portions, so now it's my word versus the FBI's.
Sure. Okay.
So
Yeah.
and after one death threat, I think I'm done playing around with anybody who's got any kind of power.
Okay. So, tell us about that real quick. You had a death threat.
Yeah. So this came through another officer that said, "Look, this is what was said. I'm not trying to scare you or your family, but basically, the Worth County deputy said I needed to take my ass back to Alaska before I got."
Before you got.
Right.
So, okay. When I hear that, I think of a scene from Tyler Perry movie with him playing Medea, and he and
We left
and Dr.
Worth-
Phil going back and forth about who's going to get got and get.
We left.
So
Worth-
they're saying that by getting got, you're going to get killed.
That's what I understood. Now, we left Worth County. My wife and I were genuinely afraid. We had just done a remodel on our kitchen after there was damage to the kitchen. So
Right.
my wife had her kitchen, had her house the way she wanted.
Yeah.
I had to sell that house and move up to North Georgia. I believed it.
Well, sure. I mean, you have to take stuff like that seriously, you know. Wow. Okay.
This is the email that was sent. So I applied, and his response, I sent him a personal statement letter to be for the assistant coordinator position for the Piedmont Area Traffic Enforcement Network. His reply,
Okay.
John, this is the chief deputy of Oglethorpe County. This is in a verified email that I downloaded and put on this Google Drive.
Okay.
John, I appreciate your interest and enthusiasm, but full transparency, you have developed a reputation with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety staff from your tenure with agencies in South Georgia. You will not be allowed to serve as the assistant coordinator. I believe had you had the right leadership early on in your law enforcement career, things would have been different. Please do not lose heart and continue to strive for new challenges. Your continued participation in network meetings is seen by the Governor's Office of Highway Safety staff, and they take note. Thanks again for your hard work and enthusiasm. This was 10th of May, 2023.
And that's from
So
the.
GOHS knew about this and was covering for this chief. It's black and white.
Okay. All right. So there seems to be, for whatever reason, people in some positions of authority not being unwilling to make any waves by
I think
by
this
calling
goes.
this guy out.
I think
right?
this goes to culture in law enforcement here in Georgia,
and it certainly
and
could.
it has permeated into Georgia Post.
Right. You know, yeah, there can be a
The city
culture.
sends a letter to
I-
Georgia Post telling them we
Right.
need to change this to a voluntary resignation. What does Georgia Post do? They double down on the file review. So
Right.
then I call the Post investigator.
Okay, so what do you mean by the double down? Let's back up just a second. Let's go down that road just a little bit because Post has, I mean, they control your certification.
Yes,
You can't get a job if they say you can't work.
right.
Okay, so you
So the lawsuit
so
said
you were fired when?
28th of June, 2022.
Okay.
That was the date of the appeal hearing, and that's when the city decided to roll with what the chief did.
Okay. And so
Now,
then
the city, everything I've talked about,
right.
all the pictures I've shown you, everything, this was presented to the city, and they still backed up the police chief.
Right. Because
What does
he's
that tell you?
Because he's well connected there, and they're all buddies.
Well, the assistant chief said,
yeah.
if you're not, yeah.
It's a political fight. It's right. Okay, so you're fired then. So you're under this file review.
Then the city sends a letter changing it to a voluntary resignation.
And when was that?
They sent that letter right after the settlement. That was in, I believe, January.
Of this year.
Yes.
Okay. And you said they doubled down on the file review. Are you still under file review?
Still under file review.
Now?
After 2 years.
What
For
are
an
they-
at-will employment that was changed to a voluntary resignation.
So what are they?
My post record says nothing but voluntary resignations on it. No discipline, no write-ups.
Okay.
Hartwell, when I went to apply to another department,
Yeah.
Hartwell will not contact that other department and give them any of the write-ups because they know these write-ups are bad. The only way that other department knows about the write-ups is I'm the only one telling the truth about it.
Right. Okay. So
Hartwell and Poulan
what I don't
will
understand,
not confirm I even worked for them.
Wow. What I'm trying to understand is what are they reviewing? What do they say they're reviewing? Did your
I finally I emailed the Post investigator.
Right.
And the first sets of emails were really weird. For some reason, he kept giving me a Baltimore phone number to call him on.
Okay.
But I followed the instructions to the letter.
Okay.
Left multiple voicemails. Some poor dude in Baltimore has probably got these voicemails.
What is going on?
What is going on?
Yeah.
So he finally gives me the correct phone number, and I call him, and I recorded the phone call.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Okay.
He tells me.
By the way,
he tells me there's no GBI investigation.
Okay. Georgia's a one-party state. I can record all of my phone calls.
Don't need to tell
I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you record these.
I know I'm recording. You don't need to know. So I record all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Okay. What does he say?
He says he confirms GBI was never told. No investigation. The DA's office is not investigating, even though they were told.
Okay.
The other officer called the GBI. So I said, yeah, I've learned that we were told there was a GBI and DA. No, there's not. Yep, I've learned that to be an untrue statement as well. Are you going to do an investigation? He says, no, there will be no investigation.
Not from Post. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So the Post investigator said Post is not going to investigate the chief. Is that what you're saying?
He said, all I need from you, because there will be no investigation at all. He said, all I need from you is a statement, and I will send that up to the probable cause committee, and they will make a recommendation on whether or not to revoke, suspend, or probate, or to determine if the city has punished you enough.
So
that's what he said. If the city had punished me enough.
Right. So he's talking about your certification.
Right.
They're not going to do an investigation, and they shouldn't be. They should have already.
They should have sent it to the GBI. Now.
Well, yeah, but as
Post
far as
could
your
argue,
certification goes, as far as
right.
yours goes,
Post could
this should
argue
be done.
they didn't know about this. They didn't know about the Google Drive.
Okay.
On that phone call,
Mm-hmm.
the Post investigator, Douglas Dowdy, references the Google Drive
Okay.
and says, I'm looking at it right now. And he makes fun of it. He calls it a diary.
He calls it a diary.
It's like,
What?
dude.
I don't.
The Post investigator called the other officer as a part of his Post investigation.
Okay.
The other officer who was involved in this traffic stop,
Yeah.
he called that other officer.
Okay. What?
That other officer gave him the Google Drive. So
Okay.
then later when he's talking to me, he's got it up.
So
he's looking
he's got
at it. So he should have looked at that and knew immediately.
And the other officer's not under any kind of file review.
No.
I mean, he resigned. He was not fired, right?
The chief gave us both an option.
And he resigned.
He resigned.
But even
I got bad advice from PBA, and I will say this publicly, to not resign. I should have absolutely resigned. I'm no longer a member of PBA.
Okay. But I can understand why an attorney would tell you not to resign, because if you resign, then you don't have any recourse for a lawsuit.
In any other state, that is true. But in this state,
Yeah.
the physical and financial consequences are so horrible. I do not think PBA is aware of that.
Right. Sure. I mean,
at one point,
this attorney's going by his training. He doesn't.
and I have another recording that I haven't uploaded here, but I have a recording where the Poulan police chief is on the phone in a unemployment hearing, admitting that he is coordinating with my PBA appointed attorney, who is making decisions and coordinating with the city of Poulan instead of informing the Department of Labor.
Okay. This shouldn't be this way.
Right. It shouldn't
It's
have even gotten this
frustrating.
far.
I mean, the reason that many people get into law enforcement is because we cannot tolerate injustice. And so then to be treated so unjustly by a system which is supposed to be geared around justice is very disheartening. And I have to tell you, I'm a little surprised that you still have such a desire to remain in law enforcement.
It's been hard.
Yeah.
The culture of lying extends so much that when I applied for a job in another state, the certification director for Georgia Post sent a letter to that state saying I was certifiable in that state. Didn't tell them a word about the file review. That other state found out about the file review from me, because I'm the only one telling the truth. I've got the email right here.
What are they afraid of, do you think?
I do not know. I have got an email here where after the Post investigator told me there would be no investigation, the certification director is telling me the investigation's closed. So, but the Post investigator said there was no investigation. So they're telling another state I'm good to go, but they're telling agencies inside Georgia, no, don't hire him.
But you're still under file review.
Still under file review.
That makes no sense. It shouldn't
2
take
years.
2 years. No, it shouldn't.
Murder investigations do not take 2 years.
Right. And honestly, man, I have a little bit of experience with post investigations. For stuff like this, it takes them very little time. Most of the time you end up waiting is you're just waiting for them to present it to the post committee so they can go, yeah, we're taking no action.
But not
But
2 years.
it doesn't take should
This
never
same
take
this
2
same
years.
investigator, in less than 7 months, revoked a dude's certification. Or sorry, he didn't revoke it. Completed an investigation that caused a guy's certification to be revoked.
Right, he
in less
recommended.
than 7 months, in the same district. How's my stuff taking 2 years?
Okay, all right. Something just clicked in my head. And I can't say, I don't know. I can't say that this is the case. However, the investigator makes the recommendation to the committee. That's my understanding. And you said that this investigator's from Tifton, right?
Yes, he's the retired Tifton police chief.
So is he just hanging on to your case
I
and not
think-
making a recommendation?
I think that he was holding on to it as long as possible to make my law enforcement career difficult enough so that I would quit as a favor to Poulan Police Chief, but I can't prove that. But that is
But
that is
is he trying to save face for more people than just Poulan? He's trying to save face for other folks, because it sounds to me like there are a lot of people who end up
now. I
with
will
egg
tell
on
you
their face.
this Google Drive. When I contacted the certification director,
Yeah.
the actual post director, the investigation director, the investigator were all CC'd in the email, and there was a copy of the Google Drive link.
Wow.
So they can't say they don't have it.
Right. Now, I'm sorry.
Now, the Department of Labor got this from the city of Poulan,
Okay.
that I was being fired. What was the reason this person was discharged on this particular day? Masters and another officer have accused Police Chief Larry Wisenert of tampering with evidence for the purpose of undermining them and stealing their thunder. Masters has discussed the see attached.
But for
Then
the
there's-
did you ever accuse the police chief of anything?
No, I actually, when the other officer confronted the police chief, I didn't say a word.
Right. Okay.
It was.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I didn't say a word. I just eventually, once the police chief was going hoarse, I finally just walked out.
Yeah.
The other officer did lion's share of the talking between him and the police chief.
Sure. Okay.
Later in this Department of Labor, after firing, the paperwork they gave me said at will. It says, Masters' behavior has cast the department in a bad light in the community and created unneeded turmoil and stress within the department. No one knew about this. Nope.
Yeah.
I have a recording where I am at the county dump because I'm selling my house, so I'm throwing stuff away.
Okay.
And someone from the city of Poulan Public Works came up, and
Yeah.
they told me, I have it on recording, that Larry, the police chief, told them that I'd quit. So how can they make that statement? Everyone thought I'd quit.
Wow.
Masters was insubordinate in telling 911 that his chief instructed him to tell them he was available to respond to calls outside the city. Masters additionally attempted to undermine the credibility of the department of chief. I have no idea what that's about. In the appeal hearing, there was an email sent from 911 to the chief, supposedly. No one ever told me about that email. The first I'd ever seen it was when they got my personnel jacket. Like I said, stuff was pulled out of my jacket and other stuff was put in.
Yeah.
There are things in my personnel jacket that are dated 6 months before I even worked there.
What? How does that happen?
There's stuff in the personnel jacket.
Is all that in the Google Drive?
Yes, there's stuff in my personnel jacket that is things that the other officer did, and he will tell you he did that.
Wow. So you're still fighting. You feel like you're having a fight
Yeah.
on all fronts with the state of Georgia, with Post, with, Department of Labor. You've had all these different fights, and
This is very interesting what the city of Poland told the Department of Labor.
okay.
Any employee in any business knows not to disobey direct instructions of their supervisor and not to falsely accuse their employee of criminal activity without evidence. But we have the evidence, and there was no investigation done. So that's really convenient. After
Right.
Chief Wisenett became aware of Masters' accusations of tampering with evidence, he notified Masters that it would be impossible to continue working with him in the police department. He advised Masters to find another job and gave him approximately 1 week to find a job and or resign. That never happened.
Wow. Just lie after lie, and all this goes back to
The
this
only
one
thing that
chief.
happened was when he came in screaming, he told
Yeah.
both the Officer Watson, the other officer and I, he told us both to go find another job. He
Right.
can't legally do that.
Right.
So I don't know how that statement. And then, for the reasons set forth in response, the discharge was within a reasonable time from the date of the incident. No, I was completely blindsided.
Yeah.
And it was all recorded. It was completely blindsided.
Right.
But they told me it was at will. Why are they telling the Department of Labor it's for cause? So this means, and in this, they also said I was being paid the whole time when I was really admittedly without pay.
Yeah,
So
right.
they actually forged a federal document. That's federal crime. And then they lied on the federal document when it was really for at-will employment. Once again, I didn't want to fight it, so
Sure,
I let go.
I understand because some fights aren't worth.
But this is
Being engaged
clear-cut
in,
documentation, and the city attorney put things that never happened. Put things in there that never happened, and then here, one of the things the city attorney put in, he said that I had made the statement that my jurisdiction goes with me. If a violation occurs inside the city limits of Poland,
Yes.
and you flee from me, my
Right.
jurisdiction goes with me.
Yeah. All the way
But
to
that
the,
is day one at the police academy.
all the way to the state line.
Right.
Yep.
I don't even have to have the blue lights on.
Right.
What is that? That's not a statement. That's common police knowledge.
Right. You like you said. Almost from day one, the first week in the academy,
You're taught that.
learn. Yes.
And if I happen to make a traffic stop and you finally stop somewhere outside my jurisdiction,
Yes.
and your brother shows up and gets involved in my traffic stop,
Right.
welcome to the city of Poland.
Yeah.
You are
Right.
because
That's still
my-
obstruction.
that is
Obstructing you. Yes.
100%. Or if you drive there on a suspended license, good to
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Okay, that is common police knowledge. Putting that in it, well, he doesn't know police procedure, and here's why.
Right.
Yeah, but I never actually said that, number one. And number two, any cop who reads that letter from the city attorney is going to go, I don't think you know basic criminal procedure.
Right. That's what I would think. Wow.
So this documentation on here, and that's, I think, why they're at a point now where they don't want to talk about it. Because they realize it has been so well documented, they look like fools.
Wow. Yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
when I apply to a job, the city of Poland and the city of Hartwell, and I understand why the city of Hartwell is not doing it,
Yeah.
the write-ups are bad. And they know those write-ups are wrong.
Sure.
So they won't even confirm I worked there. They just don't answer back. They've done it to
Wow.
multiple states now. So,
Hmm.
a few weeks ago, one of the states finally told me there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
And then there's the truth in the middle.
Yeah.
We've got your side, and then we have your documentation.
Right.
They're not going to give us their side. We call that a clue.
Exactly.
So that state started the waiver process,
Well, good.
which should tell you something, that Georgia Post is losing credibility in the country.
And that's how I would see it. You know,
Now, obviously, I'm doing this interview because my law enforcement career in Georgia is over.
Right.
No one's going to hire me, and I'm in the
Right.
middle of a hiring process with Georgia State Patrol right now. I don't even want to go to the PT test. I'm afraid to.
Right.
I've rescheduled it twice. I'm about to reschedule a third time. I
Yeah.
would like to stay here.
Sure. I can understand that.
Like I said,
man.
I've got an application with the sheriff's office right now, and that sheriff, I feel sorry for her. She is so confused. Because she's staring at it going, this happened.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have,
Yeah.
but this happened.
Right. So,
But Poulan won't send her anything. Hartwell will not. Oglethorpe, according to what she told me, barely. Well, I mean, at one point he did breathe air in the county.
right.
It's like they won't confirm anything else, because if anyone has seen any of this,
Yeah.
they suddenly realize he documented everything.
Yeah.
So there's a direct connection from the City of Poulan through the Governor's Office of Highway Safety to Oglethorpe to Hartwell to Georgia Post. And then the Elberton police chief confirmed the collusion.
Wow. Okay.
No background check. Elberton was not going to do a background check.
Right.
They're just going to trust the word of a police officer who, on documentation, has lied
Right.
faster than anyone can tell the truth.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why the tampering occurred. The other officer has got some theories.
Sure.
I'm not going to.
We hope to have him on here sometime soon and get his
Yeah.
version from all this as well.
And I'm not going
his
to.
experience.
I'm not going to conjecture.
Yeah.
But clearly, there is a culture of lying in the state of Georgia,
Yeah.
and that culture has permeated into Georgia Post, where it is okay
Right.
to lie. It is okay for Georgia Post to tell another state he's good to be certified and not tell them anything about the file review,
Right.
and then for the other state to find out, hey, well, he's under file review
Yeah.
because I'm the only one telling the truth.
Right. Well, I hope that we have not heard the end of this, and I would hope that at some point this chief is at the very least, an investigation of some kind. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But maybe there's something we can do.
At a minimum,
Yeah.
what is documented is tampering with evidence and the assistant chief false statements and writings.
Yeah.
And it should have stopped there.
Right.
At the appeal hearing, the city should have said, look, we need to look into this more. You're raising some issues. We're not going to fire you, because I'd have quit on the spot.
Right. Sure.
If they'd have given me my job back at the appeal hearing,
Yeah.
I had already told my wife, I walked into the appeal hearing and I knew in my brain they're gonna give me my job back and I'm gonna quit.
Right.
They're gonna hear all this and go, maybe we should. Oh, you're quitting? Okay. Dodge that one.
Right. Right. So.
They backed him up 100%.
Wow. Well, look, I would hate to lose you to another state.
We don't want to leave.
I know. But whatever happens, I truly hope that it is the best for you and your family, and that it's what God has in mind for you. And we certainly wish you the best. And if you end up going to some other state, I plan on us staying in touch at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, I believe, in spite of all this, law enforcement is a noble profession. It is a worthy profession. And I believe this state can recover from this kind of misconduct.
Sure.
I think they can be saved. I don't know about the police chief and the assistant chief, and I don't know about the post investigator. I think they're beyond saving.
Could be, yeah.
I don't think
either,
they can be helped. I don't think they can be saved. I don't think this is the first time they've done something like this.
Right.
Clearly, for a file review for an at-will employment to take 2 years is a serious issue. But the others involved with this, I believe they can be saved.
Yeah.
I believe Oglethorpe and Hartwell can be retrained and shown you can't do this.
Right.
You definitely need to go take some criminal procedure classes.
Right.
You clearly
And
were sick that week at the academy. I don't
Right.
know.
And it sounds like you have a couple of people who just don't know.
Got on board
Yep.
because there
It's a
appears
culture.
to be a culture
Yeah.
in Georgia. So, looking at this from my perspective, if this could happen to a police officer, John and Jane Q. Public do
Right.
not stand a chance.
Right. Yep. And we see it from time to time, unfortunately. Look, y'all, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are about the whole thing in general, and specifically about the chief in Poulan and the investigator and this whole way this all kind of meshed together. But there will be more forthcoming. Look forward to additional episodes, additional information, and as we get updates, we will give them to you. We love y'all. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the conversation. A lot less of me rambling this time, and a lot more of some very interesting information on what appears to be the possibility of some corruption in this part of the country. See you next time.